I have been living abroad for 10 years now, and from time to time, I would feel confused about what the definition of home is to me. What is a place that I would call home, and what does that even mean? So in this video, I want to share the hard truths about living abroad based on my personal experience that I think no one on the internet really talks about, at least not in the same tone, which I will be breaking up into 8 different lessons. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Feby, and on this channel I share stories and lessons from my non-linear life journey to help you navigate yours and feel less alone in the process. As I mentioned in today's video, I want to talk about the 8 hard truths and lessons that I learned while living abroad. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Number 1 is the challenge around building and rebuilding your life. I personally think that moving abroad or moving to a new place at a later age is actually harder than when you move at a younger age. I do think that I am lucky because when I first started my life here in Canada, I moved as a student. So being in school gave me the opportunity to meet people organically and make friends that way. That being said, since I moved away after I finished school, I moved to another city in Canada. I sort of felt like I needed to start from scratch, and I've been finding it harder to make friends. And I do think that as you get older, your capacity and your mindset and what you look for in friendships also kind of change. I think when you're younger, you're more easygoing, you get along with pretty much everyone anecdotally. However, as you grow older, you sort of have expectations, you know yourself better, you know what kind of friendships and what kind of people that you think would suit you best. And so I think those aspects definitely play a part. And not to mention that the people that you meet in a new city, a lot of the times their lives are pretty much set up already, unless you meet people who are also new to the city, who are also looking for friendships. If I were to compare with my life in Asia, I don't think I would go out of my way to make new friendships because I would be on the other side of the coin. I would feel like my life is pretty much set up already. I'd be very happy with the established friend group that I have, and I would still be open to making new connections or new friends, but I wouldn't go out of my way to do it. Whereas while living abroad, I feel like I'll have to be more proactive about this aspect of my life, because if I don't do anything, nothing will happen. Number 2 is having fewer balls of joy to choose from. Because I live abroad, all the people that I care about are far away from me. I realized that because of this, I tend to take myself more seriously than I should. For example, I tend to get obsessed over maybe work stuff or my personal development or my growth trajectory because I am sort of putting all my eggs in one basket. Then I need to remind myself from time to time to take life less seriously, to take myself less seriously, to have fun with it. So I've been focusing on other things too to kind of diversify my life and make my life richer, such as finding a fun hobby, making YouTube more fun, or making my creative process more fun, or focusing on my health by investing more time in working out and things like that. So those are some of the things that I've been doing. The next one is feeling like a fusion dish. Have you ever had a fusion dish such as rendang tacos or gochujang spaghetti? That's how I feel about myself most of the time. I feel like I am a mix of every place that I've lived, yet I don't feel like I fully belong anywhere. I sometimes feel like I am not local enough to be called a local because it's been so long since I last lived there, yet I'm also not a local in the place where I am currently living, which is Canada, because I didn't grow up here, and so I might miss some cultural context or any references that other people who grew up here might have. I remember when I first moved abroad, it felt like a little bit of an identity crisis to me. And I think when you were younger, you have a stronger sense to fit in, at least that's how I felt. And as I get older, I learned how to embrace my unique background and unique experience and just my unique self. I think for this one, it is important to surround yourself with open-minded people or people who are culturally literate or are open to learning about other cultures, which I think a lot of people in Canada are. A lot of people are open about diversity and learning about other culture, which I think can make people from other cultures feel welcome. And it doesn't really matter if you've previously lived in another country or not. I think having an open mind would really help you go far. And for me personally, on top of surrounding myself with open-minded people, I think it's also important to still maintain the core friendships that you have from back home. I feel like it is so reassuring and it feels like a warm hug to have people who have seen you going through different versions of yourself and still embrace you for who you are. I think that's beautiful. The next one is the exhaustion from learning new things every day. Don't get me wrong, I love learning new things. And I think when you live abroad, whether you like it or not, there are things that you need to learn because some assimilation needs to be done there. And I feel like with me living abroad, this experience is sort of elevated because I feel like every day if I choose to, there are new things that I can learn, and it's great to absorb new information, to learn how to see things from a different lens. And not only is there the learning part, but also the unlearning part, which means throwing away old ideology, old mindset, old beliefs that I think are no longer as valid as I get exposed to different angles of seeing things. And that unlearning part actually really takes a long time, especially for beliefs or ideology or outlook on life that have been ingrained in my brain since I was really young. It's really hard, but I think for the better. I think everyone should be open to learning and unlearning things. And I think when you live abroad, this experience, this learning and unlearning part is sort of elevated. The next one is missing home and the people who feel like home. This one hits home for me, and it's a really tough one. I think for me, since my closest friends, the people whom I've been friends with for the last 15 years or so, they're not physically in Canada because I didn't meet them in Canada because I only moved to Canada 5 years ago, and so I met them while I was living in Asia, and we went to high school together, and we're still very, very close until today. But then the fact that I live so far away, I live in Canada, and that means I don't get to see them as often. And we talk very often, but it's different to be spending quality time together. And since they live so far away, literally 10,000 miles away, I can't just hit them up and be like, oh, hey, do you want to have dinner together? Like, literally, these days, if I want to spend time with my core groups, we'll have to plan far in advance. And when I say far in advance, I mean like at least 6 months in advance, because we need to book plane tickets, we need to, maybe if we want to take a trip, we need to plan out the trip. I'm sure that there are many of you who have to deal with long distance friendships because you moved away or one of your best friends moved away, and you know that it's not easy and sometimes it sucks. While choosing to live abroad and choosing to experience a different kind of life, and me getting more out of life and experiencing different things by moving abroad, I also feel a constant sense of longing, and I would miss home from time to time. I would miss people who matter to me, and I think it's always a constant battle within myself for this one. The next one is reinventing yourself. This is sort of tied to my previous point about the exhaustion of learning and unlearning new things every day. I feel like as we go through different seasons of life, we are meant to evolve as an individual. Regardless of whether you live or you moved abroad or not, I think every human being is supposed to have different versions of themselves that they can look back on and see, okay, how far they've come, for better or for worse. I think that's just the beauty of life. That's just how life works, in my opinion. Next is a constant feeling that everything is temporary. Going back to my first point about building and rebuilding your life, I feel like there is also the feeling that everything is temporary. And I think this really is subjective depending on your goal and what you're looking for when you moved abroad. But at the same time, I feel like even you are not the one who moves around. Sometimes people around you would move around. Even for me, I used to live in Edmonton and I went to school there. But then after I graduated, I decided to move to Vancouver. And that makes it really difficult for me to hang with my school friends because most of them, they live in Alberta and I am in Vancouver. I know at the end of the day, if you want to make it work, you will make it work, but I'm just saying, like, it takes a lot more effort to maintain the friendships or to keep it going versus if you are in the same city or if none of you move away. The last one is questioning myself from time to time. Even though I know that this is a decision that I made for myself and it's something that I wanted and it's something that I worked hard for and I moved abroad by choice, is not because I had to. And I know that I am privileged to be able to say this because not everyone can move abroad by choice. Some people have to move away from their family because they have to, maybe for financial reasons, or maybe their country is not safe enough, and all other reasons that I'm not gonna list here. And I know that I'm very privileged to be able to do this, and I am very grateful for that. That being said, it doesn't mean that it's not challenging. It doesn't mean that it's less difficult, because life is still full of ebbs and flows. There were times when I would ask myself, okay, why am I putting myself through all this? If I didn't move abroad, I wouldn't have to go through all of this. But I guess there's always pros and cons, and you just gotta pick your battles and pick your poison. What kind of shit sandwich you're willing to eat? I think I always go back to that question that I read from a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. It's still stuck in my mind until today. I read that book quite a long time ago, but I think that's a very good question whenever I feel like I'm at a crossroads in life. There you have it, the 8 hard truths about living abroad that I think no one really talks about from this perspective. Or you can call it hard truths, you can call it the lessons that I learned and would like to share with you. And if you're going through a similar experience, just know that you're not alone, and I hope that this video sends that message to you. And I know that this video is a little bit more sentimental than my usual videos. They're a bit more practical, but I wanted to make this video because this side of myself actually is a pretty big part of who I am as a person and the way I see the world, and I wanted to share with my audience and hope you like it. And if you have lived abroad before, or if you are living abroad, I'm curious to know which downside that resonates with you the most, and how do you cope with the downsides of living abroad. Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't be shy, say hi and share your thoughts. Also, let me know what you think about this video, whether you find it helpful, whether you like this type of content. I'd love to get your POV. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.